Hey, everybody, I'm doing this right. Hey, y'all, this is MoJo with MoJo and the Little Ones, and I'm giving the presentation this month at the Barren County Beekeepers Association meeting. And I'm going to be giving the demonstration on the Comfort Hive. Before we get started, y'all remember, like, subscribe, hit that bell. Let's get her started. And the first thing I'm going to show you is a little video about Sam Comfort, the man himself who kind of came up with this design of the hive.
Treatment-free beehives up and down the East Coast. Hi there, I'm Sam Comfort. I run Anarchy Apiaries. We keep about 500 treatment-free beehives up and down the East Coast. Got into beekeeping when I won my first 6 hives in a poker game. But that's not actually true, it's just the best story I've come up with. But I started in the industrial beekeeping world, working several jobs, working for honey producers, queen raisers, migratory pollinators, and just seeing the belly of the beast and what people have to do to their bees to keep them alive in our modern system of intensive farming. And I felt bad for these guys because there's really no young blood coming into this industry. To wake up in the morning, to have to medicate your bees, to have to feed your bees, to have to move them thousands of miles in order to make ends meet. It's just not an attractive lifestyle. So a lot of people don't want to really take up that mantle. And of course, these beekeepers aren't going to take their bees to their graves with them, but they don't know who to trust or where to go next. But I knew from the get-go that bees are resilient. Bees aren't like cows. They haven't been messed with like other parts of our agriculture. And they have this wildness under the surface. So I had faith in the bees and decided to not treat the bees that I acquired. And I'm 9 years now of doing no treatments. I use a couple of tactics. I use resistant genetics. I use natural comb in my hives. And I also let the bees swarm or simulate the swarms. I just aid the decisions that the bees are already making. Well, there's this Venn diagram that you have farmers in one circle and crazy people in the other circle. And that intersection, that's where the beekeepers fall. It's a different kind of lifestyle for sure. And I think once we get into beekeeping, we all keep with it because we're addicted to the pheromones. If you're going to become a beekeeper, for one thing, I'd say don't buy anything because they'll try to sell you all this plastic stuff and all these chemicals to try to keep your hives alive. Or really, you can just build a bait box. You can hang up an empty box up in a tree or a deer stand or out of a barn somewhere, and the bees just might show up. They might choose you. It's like fishing. You don't know if it's going to work, but the bees that you'll find out in your area, in your environment that have survived and are swarming are the best bees that you can find. You can't buy bees like that. They're real bees. So what I realized about a beehive is that they're foraging in a 6-mile radius if they need to. That's over 80,000 acres. And suddenly, if you're going to take care of your hive, you're responsible for that amount of land. And regardless of borders, regardless of property ownership, to protect your bees, you're taking this responsibility. And that's where the anarchy comes in. To protect your hive, you really want to know what your neighbors are doing, what they're spraying, what the farms are using around you, and you help these people to better our bee population. Well, as far as I see it, it's not CCD, not colony collapse disorder. It's more like PCD, people collapse disorder. Our honeybees have been around, we figure, for over 80 million years. So I think they have the ability to solve problems. They have a symbiotic way of working, even in the way that they eat. They're just benefiting the flowers and promoting the genetic diversity around the world. It's really bees are really the catalyst of creating different species faster than any kind of wind pollination could ever do. So, but the way that the bees fit in with the environment, I think they're going to be just fine. We're not saving the bees. If anything, the bees are saving us. I think to better the situation with bees, you ought to But I really stick with your friends, stick with your community, and have a vision of what our next generation is going to look like. Because it's not going to be this intensive, really petroleum draining system of our current mode of agriculture. If anything that the bees are telling us, it's that the system's not going to work for too much longer.
That there, that's the man, the myth, the legend, you know. Shortly after I became a beekeeper and joined the association, some fool had a notion to tell me about Comfort Hives. Thank you, Bob. But since then, I've been building. That's kind of my favorite hive to build. And the Comfort Hive is basically a top bar hive, a raw ray hive, which I think the raw ray hive was invented or whatever by, I want to say, a 14th century monk. Can't remember his first name, but his last name was, Father Rare. And like I say, since then I've been trying to build them. I've got, for all you hear, I've got a box there at your table. Basically, that's your hive right there. That's the hive body. There's several different ways you can build it. You can build this out. You can build this out of a 2x4 or a 2x whatever 8s, 6s, 4x4s. Whatever. Just as long as this inside dimension is 11 inches square. Doesn't matter what the outside's made out of or how wide and everything like that, as long as it has an 11-inch interior dimension. Now sometimes different ways I've done it, different ways, and of course this one's been sitting outside, but if I put a swarm of bees in this, they would try to clean all that up and it'd be a lot easier for them to attach, to want to attach. This one here, if you can see it, it has a lip. I think that one's got a lip. I think yours does. That's got a lip. I don't know if that one's got the grooves cut into it. But eventually what I started doing is when you do have that lip there, you can't take the comb directly out because of that lip overhang. So you have to cut it and leave about a finger's width of comb on the hive itself so that you can pull that leaf of honey straight out. So then I started to go with a little bit longer skewer and drill a little hole so that it would inset. Like I say, Comfort Hive can be made basically out of anything. And some of Sam's videos, he said, like, take him to a construction site and he can make a hive out of the dumpster, stuff that they got in the dumpster. Because basically what you do is you build that box, and a lot of people use barbecue skewers, but I moved up to a 1/4-inch dowel. It's a little bit bigger and a little bit more wax can attach to that than that skinnier skewer. And basically you put 8 of these right into the hive, and they build down from it. And it's got to be kind of mathematically placed because you need to leave bee space on the outside, and then comb space, bee space, comb space, bee space, comb space, bee, you got to figure out that equation, So it was it took a couple days and a couple trial and errors, but I got it down to where I've got it marked to where this is where each comb goes to give perfect bee space, and then like 1.5 inches or 3/4 of an inch, or what's the average width of a frame? What is that? About an inch and a half, or is it 3/4 of an inch? The frame width, but it's at that space that's needed, so that they build out half and half, and then still have bee space, and then they build. And when I make them, this is one that I kind of drilled out. But this right here is two hive bodies. That right there is two hive bodies. And when you go to put them together, you put one up to here. Well, but can you give me here?
Oh,
Can you give me here?
yeah.
Yeah. You hold that one.
You hold it.
Yeah. Hold that one like that. And then what you do is you put this one up to here. This one up to here. And this one up to here, and that forms your box. You don't like tongue and groove or make one a little bit longer and put both of them on the inside of it. So you make the boards the same length. And I took all my boards to a woodworking shop, and they had their thing set, and it was like, okay, there's one, or actually two boxes, and he cut like 5, 10-foot 1-bys in 4 minutes. It took me 20 minutes to cut one, in my basement measuring and everything. But they can easily be put together. You want to try to screw. I put nails, I use brad nails, but I think, I didn't bring the bad ones, but they'll split out real bad if you just use brad nails. You can kind of see how that's just butted. Each one is butted up to the next one. And like I say, the main thing is having an 11-inch interior. And then to put one together, can I see this one?
Why 11 inches inside?
Huh?
How come 11 inches inside?
That's what Sam says. I mean, that's that desired, I guess, the desired, width is that. And what you do is you take, this is my bottom board, a half screen bottom board that I kind of made to fit. And you take and you put that on top. Each box has at least one hole in it, roughly the same position. And the top is a ceiling, or a floor tile, a ceramic floor tile. And one thing I like to do is use something like this in between it like that, so that way when they build the cone, they won't attach it to the floor tile, and the floor tile will come right off, and that bag peels right off of it. And you can kind of see where how that's kind of flattened, and that was the top that was actually attached to the bag. And I try to save these when I do, when I do rob from them. I try to save them like this so that I can just go ahead and use them in a swarm box. And I try to keep them wet, where I don't try to let all the honey and all that goodness be off of it. So when I do put it in a box, when I do put a swarm in here, they'll take to it. I just did that week before last. I did a cutout, and I went and checked my hive, and or I checked the yard where I was gonna put it, and I had 2 swarms sitting on bushes. So I took one of them, and I had an old Comfort Hive equipment with me, and I put them in there, checked them today, and that thing is booming. I mean, it is really good, and I'm really happy for that one. Myself, I like to do things a little bit different, kind of think outside the hive. I really like observation hives. And I used to have an aquarium hive and stuff in the house. And I was thinking when I first found out about the Comfort Hive, kind of one of the first things I thought was, how am I gonna make a observation Comfort Hive? And, so I started tinkering around, and I took just regular pane glass, you know, from Lowe's when they used to sell the glass. And this was the first kind of my prototype what I made, which is 11 inches exactly this way and 11 1/8 inches this way. My measurement was not quite right. So it's just a little bit bigger going one way. And after some, and plus, if you ever worked with glass, you know you can't trim a 1/16 or an 1/8 inch of glass off of that. So I just keeping that one. And this was what I settled on. I got it written down somewhere, but I forget what the actual measurement is. But it's the same thing, it's got the 11-inch center of that. And it's made with the trim that holds the shower wall, like what you put inside of a shower, that shower lining, that plastic trim that stuff all slides together with. That's what this is. It just cut and kind of melted and bent. But each one of these are cut the exact same length perfectly, to where this is 11 inches in the center. And like I say, I got, so, and potentially, I mean, this one's just a little bit bigger, but, you know, I can make them the same size and everything, and just keep stacking these as high as they keep building. But the only trick is, unlike a Langstrom hive, you know, or something like that, you don't put them on the top like that. Because what this is, from what I've seen, this is to represent a tree trunk, you know, a natural cavity somewhere, where if they would build like something like this, they hit their boom, they couldn't go nowhere else. Swarm, move out, you know, move out. But what you do is, this is the tricky part yet. I gotta figure out lifters. Like I say, it's still in the works, but what you would do is you would pick up that whole hive with the bees that are in there and place another one underneath it. You know, you put one there, you know, it's a 2-man job, you know. Because this is going to be full of bees. And this is where they actually build their comb. And this one here is from a cutout of a bush. And as soon as I cut it out, I put it into the Comfort Hive. So if you ever kind of wondering how they build like that in a hive, I mean, that's what, and that's what you would see, just full of bees. And you would see all that comb, you know, everything in there. And what it's supposed to do is be like a perpetual, never-ending tree trunk. And as you pick up, put underneath, that brood chamber should move down with it. Pick up, put underneath, brood chamber will kind of move back down into the new area. You know, when they form comb. About that time, that top box should be just nothing but honey. Cap, you know, that should be your super. You take a knife, or some people use a piano wire, and you come between each one, take that out, and harvest it. You have to destroy, you know, you destroy the honey and all, you know, the comb and all that. You destroy the top part of the hive, but you don't hurt the hive because they're still going down. All you're doing is taking a couple of ways to do a crush, if you all know about the, you know, how to do the crush and strain method. But I've come up with a way that I can actually spin my Comfort Hive frames, you know, full frames that I take out. I'm not going to unwrap it because it's kind of falling apart and I'm gonna pass this around, and it's actually, this is cat honey. At least on this side, well, yeah. This whole part right here is completely cat honey. And one of the reasons I saved this was I could take this out, like I get a swarm or I know I'm gonna do a cutout. I can take this out and let it thaw out to room temperature. And then when I take and get those bees and I wanna put it in the hive, I can just take like that and bam, they've got a ready source, ready source of food and everything. And I just kind of do the same with my regular frames. I don't set them all out to be robbed and cleaned out by bees. I save some so that I can use it for food. But the thing about extracting is if you don't have foundation, then how are you gonna put, and I use an extractor. I actually put them in my extractor. But if you're all extracted, you know how that just spins everything around. But what I found is this is called a grill topper. And I get them at Walmart. It's just something you put on the grill to put your vegetables, and all that. But you take and I call it, make a little taco shell. You fold it in half, make a little taco shell. And this is my favorite uncapper right here. This is about the best one you can get in. Like, and with Comfort Hive comb, it's not always straight and smooth. So you can't just slice, you gotta get in. But this is my favorite one. And then after you uncap it, you lay it in there, close it up. Any size rubber bands, but I like the 17 inches. And usually when I'm doing this, I'm doing a bunch, so I'll have rubber bands attached to it. And you just take and put your rubber bands around it. And then you can just take that, and like I say, I put more rubber bands and it's closed, but you take that, you set it right down inside your extractor. I've got a 2-frame or 4-frame, just the regular small extractor hand crank. And you put it in there, you crank, extract it one way. And there too, just like with the anytime you extract, you gotta put it in with the orientation right. You gotta put it in so that it's sitting in the comb angle is at such that whichever direction you go, like this here, I would spin it this way so that it slings it out going up. If I put it the other way, it wouldn't sling all the honey out. And maybe that's a good thing too, because then it's wetter, and they're better for using for swarms and whatnot. But that's how I extract, and then take that out, put it in the freezer, keep it for the next season or whatever comes along. See here. I was going to show you kind of one of mine. See if I can find it. This was one of my.
Saved hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Liberty, 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 liberty.
This is one of my first Comfort Hives, and that was back in 21. And that year we had, I think, 8 Comfort Hives, and only one of them made it. From the little ones, we're here to check out my Comfort Hive. We're out at the Norman Ranch. I'm going to kind of pass it a little bit and stuff too, because I babble. Well, here, this is why, like I say, that's why you put that little paper on there. Oh, cool. Comb hadn't fallen this been issues with it when, this was the first one, like I say, this was my first, and some comb had fallen and stuff like that, and we didn't know if we had to clean, and it was just kind of some hairy stuff, but, yeah, one just got pinched over my sleeve. Yeah. Get that done, when you get a smoker. And I try not to smoke, but if you can notice, it's a floral wire that I use to attach chunks of comb to my curing before I put the bees in to give them something. You can see where they attached the comb. This is a cut piece. Yeah, they are attaching this one good. I'm kind of looking for my clean. One thing with that, you're not really secure. You know, where it's taking it off and flipping around, it's kind of, it's a little hard. Both the queen cells are gone, yeah, so they both emerged, or one emerged, get away with the other one. But look at this is comb that they built themselves. That's their own fresh comb. Now this piece was already attached. These pieces were attached other places. But I see how I connected it up there and they started attaching to it. So they'll build from these too. And like I say, and sugar water is almost gone. Look down in there. It was really cool too because this is the first one not this high, but one of my Comfort Hives. I got to see platelets on the bottom, on the wax platelets, in the bottom, on the bottom, on their belly. I was looking at something, what's that? And then I realized it was the wax, the bees producing wax. It was really cool. This is where the queen cells were up on top. See how they're attached that since the other day? When I had to fix it again. Like I say, I'm trying to see if I can't see her. And they've already made a couple of clean cups. See how that? We never did get to see her. I'm going to show you something else too. They know that they're clean, Wait a second here. Hey everybody, it's MoJo. We're here to check out my Comfort Hive. We're out in the north. Trying to figure this stuff out too. Let's see here. Right here. This is, like I say, when the way that you maintain them is you don't put boxes on top because you want it to be up and you want the bee to have that natural feeling of growing downwards, that high. Separator, lifter. That's kind of just something I come up with to be able to do this. Because you got 3 hives that's full, I had 2 of them full of honey and stuff, and one, full of bees. This is hive number 5. And I've actually harvested 4 boxes since I've been doing it. I've been able to harvest 4 boxes, and then you get roughly about a gallon. a little over a gallon out of each hive, out of each box. We were gonna put a box under it, but when we looked, there wasn't enough bees that hadn't come down far enough. Just like in a regular hive, you don't wanna stick another one under it when it's not down there ready to be, ready to go in. That's kind of those I'm gonna show. That's kind of about it. Any questions as far as from peanut gallery?
I was gonna ask about honey extraction, but I think you explained that.
It's like, or you do the crushing strain. That's what I was, or another way I do it is I got a salad spinner. One of those salad spinners that you push the top and it centrifugally spins. That works great on doing broken little pieces of comb and stuff like that. You just uncap it, stick it in there oriented right, spin it, scrape it out and go at it. That works really good too. Anybody else?
Why would you not go bigger than 11 inches, other than that's what Mr. Comfort did?
I don't know, that's what that dimension is, and the way
How
they
many
do it.
frames is it? How many frames?
Eight frames.
Well, 8 with bee space probably equals 11.
See, that's,
And
yeah,
then you made
that's
it
it.
11 the other way to keep all the sides interchangeable.
Exactly, that's that basic, space, that's counting the bee space and the counting hive space. And I was gonna say too, before we get done with, especially with YouTube, I wanted to put a shout out to Killer Bee Guy out in Arizona. He deals with African bees every week, every day. And some of his videos are off the hook. But Reed Booth, he's been doing it for years. Brisbane. But I just wanted to put a shout out to him. But otherwise, I'm gonna sign off on my YouTube. And y'all have a blessed day, and remember to hit that like and subscribe button. And catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys.